Hey, what's up? Michael here. I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a little while because Inkarnate, the map making software that I use, just put out a new version. Version 2 is out, and I want to build a world map in it. I haven't built a world map in a long time, but we're going to jump into that right now, and we're going to start building. The goal is 20 minutes, just see what I can put together real quick, and we're going to just try it out. So I have only looked at a little bit of the assets in here since they updated, so I'm not super familiar with everything that they've added. I can see here making land, adding land is going to be, the same, obviously. So we can do like a, there's our continent, and then we can clean it up a little bit by actually subtracting. I like to just be random kind of with it and just do something like this. And that kind of makes me a nice little, more natural looking kind of situation. See that? It almost looks a little bit like Alaska and Canada. But we'll fix that a little, make this a big inlet kind of thing there. And then maybe we have like some lake situations going on in the middle of this big continent there. Cool. There you go. Look, perfect. We've got ourselves the beginning of a new world. I got plenty of space down here in the bottom left for my compass or legend or whatever I want to build. That's as easy as that. Look, and seriously, like for a home game, like you don't need more than this. One thing I do like to do though is I like to, let's go back to subtract. Oh, we're good. We're good. I like to not, I don't, for some reason, I just don't love it when a world map goes off the edge, like there's land on the edge, and you're like, there could be more stuff down there. What is that? I don't like that. I don't know, whatever. So let's go ahead and, yep, I love starting with mountain ranges. There's all those assets that I can use, but I love starting with mountain ranges. Let's see if I can make it a little more green. I know that you can play with the hue and everything. Let's see where that might be. Scale, rotation, sublayer, shadow, blend mode. Boy, there's a lot of settings there. That is tweak colors. Okay, that's where it is now. Saturation, I want it to be a little more green for this part. I'm not 100% sure. I'm that's cool. You can make them like that red. Boy, I'm not getting much green out of this. That's kind of, oh, the hue. That's why I was playing with the flipping hue instead of that's a little too bright. Let's turn down the saturation. I don't know, that feels right. Let's go ahead and say that there's a mountain range that kind of goes along this section. That might be big. Those are too big. So let's make them a little smaller. Scale's at 100. Let's make them 70. I like to go ahead and use numbers because that way I can make it exactly the same for when I do other ones. I'll try to keep all my things at this. Now I'm going to change this a little bit with the color here. So let's do the green grass. Instead of green grass, we're going to look at something a little more gray land, and I'm going to go ahead and turn down the opacity, and I'm going to kind of grayify the land here. Is that working? Or what am I doing? Am I not putting it on the foreground? What's the deal? Land. There it is. It's going to land, and it's a little white down there. I don't know. The gray. Let's do some dirt on top of that, like more of a clay. That's deserty. I'm thinking more of like a darker, yeah, something like that. And I'm going fast, but imagine I just got home from work, which I did. I was home for 12 hours today. And now I need to make myself a map because maybe I got D&D coming up and I just really want to have a plan. For some of us, this is the beginning of our planning, right? We're going to start here. Good tip I love is holding the space bar down you hold space bar and then it lets you drag the map around. So you don't have to worry about scrolling with your scroll wheel and stuff. Anyway, so there's my little mountain range. And then I'm going to put some more mountains. Maybe of a different kind of looking mountains. Tag mountains. Maybe something a little more, those are more like dunes. Let's do a little more dormant volcano kind of vibe I can plug in here maybe. No, I kind of like the idea of putting something like that here, and that's like a interesting place for the party to go travel to, right? And I can turn that area if I zoom into. Also, wherever your mouse is pointing is where you're going to zoom in. I like this better than that one. Let's do that, and we'll delete that one. We'll use this taller one. There's a dormant volcano. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to turn it into a, let's see, dark, like a, ooh, spooky ground, scary kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know, that's more like a black wasteland stone. I don't want it to, I want it to be soft, sure. Brush size smaller. There we go. This place is kind of dark and spooky. I'm going to make it a little darker the closer you get to the volcano. You don't have to change the opacity of the texture. You just keep clicking over the same area. And there you go. This is kind of like maybe a Mordor kind of situation. I don't know. Pretty cool, I think. Awesome. I'm going to do the same thing to the water. I'm going to darken up that water as well. And it's going to be a little bit creepy in the water because it's, I'm clicking a bunch because it makes it darker every time I click, right? So the water around here is a little darker than the sea. I'm also going to turn off those ripples or fix them somehow. But so there we go. We got something interesting there that may be a point of interest for the party. I also see a city. I'll show you where I see a little town. That town is going to live, oh, no town, maybe city. Let's get rid of this. There we go. I'm going to put a little city, and I just need it to like mark where a city is. I don't necessarily need it to build a whole little city with everything. Let's see. Biomes, ocean biome, origins, orcs, Nordic, human. Maybe we'll do a little human city. Set up in the mountains, something like that. A little fortified guy. He's a little big. Let's take that scale down to 60 for the city. I mean, it's half the size of that mountain. That doesn't make sense. I know I'm overthinking it a little, maybe. Do I like that? Sure, I like that. Zooming in too much makes it kind of ugly, but it's only because of the editing. It cleans up in post, so to speak. So now I've got my first city. This is set down in the mountains. Kind of set up into the foothills, I guess, of these mountains. And this will be, who knows, maybe the starting city for the party. It looks like this city is, I don't know, that's excessive. There's probably a mountain pass that goes through here, right? Like this, like a mountain pass that just goes right along there. Straight into the city that way. And then the city, the gates for the city open out to go like this as well. And you can go other places. I don't know that I love that white line, but right now it's giving me the idea of, excuse me, planning my like future cities. I want some more cities, so I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go back here. We're going to go back to humans. And these humans have a little village kind of situation. What did I go with? 40. These humans have a little village that's going to be nestled down here by the water. This one's going to be here. Yep. And so that marks, like, this is a fortified city. These are just little like fishing cities. They got another one that's on this center here. Maybe there's one here. So these are just like the human area. They got a lot of different little towns and cities. Let's do, maybe if we have something that could be like a tiny village. There we go. There's a little tiny town. We could put this tiny town over here. And then one in the middle here. That makes sense, right? Maybe one down here on the way out of the mountains. So this is kind of the human domain. This is where all they hang out. Makes sense to me. I don't love the way this road stuff is set up. So, and I'm working on quick here. I got friends coming over in a couple weeks, and we're going to be playing through a new campaign, and I need to start with my map and have it kind of ready so that I can dig into the adventure. And maybe this is all I start with, right? I'm like, you're going to start here and you're going to end up trying to get to here, but maybe you need to go this way to get there because, I don't know, there's a vast wasteland in between. Or maybe this across the mountains lies another village, but this time it's full of orcs, right? The orc town is right here, and you can't get through this mountain pass without going through that orc town anymore. And so these are Christmas decorated right now, which is kind of funny. It looks like, but that's okay. And then the orc watchtowers, which that's, again, too big. We're going to go 25 on those and see what that looks like. That's too small for the watchtower. I don't want to randomize that. Let's go 35. There we go. So they've got watchtowers stretched all the way across the mountain pass. And so you have to go up to from human town to city to town and around to get to our Mordor, because you can't get through this orc speckled land. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing, right? And here they've got a little orc town here, another one here, and another one nestled over here by this lake. So there you go. The orcs have kind of got a whole thing on this side of the mountains. The humans are over here. Maybe they don't like each other for some reason, and so you've got yourself a little reason that they have to take the long way around, or they can choose to try to get through the shorter path to get to the zone where they're trying to get. There's maybe a fetch quest or a rescue or who knows. There you go, and you can have your whole thing. Let's build a forest next. We'll build a forest over here. So trees. So I like to flesh out my town a little bit. On the last campaign I did, my town or my world is being fleshed out by the party, like as we play, and that's been pretty fun because they've been able to like name where they're from and tell me the names of the towns and everything that they're from. What's 70 look like for these trees? Okay. So with the trees, I can place them individually like that. I'm going to randomize them because there's several options. I can also see if this does. Yeah, I can create like an area of trees and change the density, and I can just literally just forest this area. And so I typically will do that for like the center thickest part of the forest, which is a lot on this. For this map, this is a big forest. And then I start to lower the density as I go around the edges, right? You lower that density and then lower it again. Maybe lower the area. So I'm kind of doing this. And I'm going to have to pull those out of the water, but I can mess with them one by one, even though I put them on this way, which is nice. So I just go like that. It's lovely. And then, yeah, and then I've got a nice forest there. I am going to do a selection here. I'm going to select a portion of these right here. I'm going to delete them. And I'm going to put something there that's like another fetch quest thing, right? So I can put another little thing of interest in the middle of that forest. So let's look for elf stuff, because when I think forest, I think elves, right? So there's elf structures. Ooh, that tower's kind of fun. Maybe there's like a tower right in the middle there that you can see. And like, oh, what's the deal? Oh, I have this turned on. See, density 1. What? Turn that down. It's just 1. So yeah, that tower's chilling right there in the middle of the forest. And how interesting is that? And maybe it's also the land there is different. And I haven't messed around much with the color of the land. But this is the kind of thing, man, you can sit here and you can play and goof off with this for ages, right? And just build and build and build. And they've given you so many tools, and it's so easy to click around and find what you want. Let's make it just like a bright green right there. Opacity up a little bit. The grass is greener. Am I working on water? Yep, land. The grass is greener under the elven tower. Yep. So there you go. You want to go where the grass is green and the trees part in the middle of the forest, and there lies the scroll of displacement, whatever that does. So there's your forest. There's your mountain range. Is it beautiful and full of art? No. You could do that. You could get really into that if you want, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I dig in and I'm really like placing these trees and I'm like, that's too thick here. Let's delete some of these. And I just start deleting some of them because I think it's too thick in that area. And you can just play around and do stuff, move, like be like, there's a few trees that kind of trickle down into here. It's not just a perfect little square. It's not hard to do. It just takes time. And you got to decide that's what you want to focus on. Or you're just like, no, I need to get something up that only I'm really looking at right now. And my party can be, I do hate the way this kind of looks. And my party can be, just kind of exploring the world and not really worrying about a map at this point. And one other thing about trees, when you have them spread out like this just nature-wise, they tend to clump up, right? Trees tend to grow kind of together. Oh, here's another thing. The auto saves it not working for some reason, so I'm going to save it right now. I think something was wrong with my internet connection on it, so that's not good. But this could take a minute. But like I said, like the trees typically will grow together, like clumped, like in rows or in patches. And so you can, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That would look weird, right? That's a little too far. But I'm not the best. You can find maps in Inkarnate that you can use that are so nice looking and beautiful. And that's awesome. And I do that sometimes when I'm in a rush. But if I want to make my own thing, I really hate these towers. I'm not going to lie. I think they're kind of goofy looking, especially with the lights, Christmas stuff on them. I'll leave the little towns though. But yeah, I think that like something like this, I've got all I need for a mission, right? I've got several towns. I've got some potential enemies. I've got a place of interest for them to go to now. And I've got a vast, wasteland to cross. I'm going to make this more like wastelandy. Go back to this brown color and just make that look like this a little more. Even right up to that forest. There you go. Yeah. And then I'm going to make around, that's too bright. That's that bright green. I don't want that. And then make around where the people live a little more greenery. It's a little prettier. And there need to be trees and stuff over here too, just some. So I'll do that, but I'm going to do some different kinds of trees. So now I'm going in and decorating. I've got the places of interest, trying to blend in a little decoration, things like that make it feel interesting and there you go. Common trees. That's exactly what I want. I want them at 70 like those others. And I'm going to go ahead and do an area. I'm going to half that density. And the area, man, it just feels kind of, I don't know, clumped up. Place auto. What does that mean? If I do this. See, I almost feel like that's more than I want. So I'm going to undo all that. It's going to take all of them off of there because it was one hold down of my mouse button. I'm going to lower the density by quite a bit. And I'm going to lower the area. Raise the density just a little. And then maybe I can just... That's a little better. Little patches, kind of. Clusters of trees growing along the way in between all these places. Maybe there's some like, yeah. And then over here, I'm going to put some stone, maybe. Stones. Actually, let's do rocks. I think they will be better as rocks. Close the trees. Just rocks. There you go. So I want like, man, these are rock formations, aren't they? Is that what I want? I don't want rock formations. I just want rocks. There we go. Outcroppings. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we'll do that. We'll let them randomize. And I'm not going to mess around with putting a bunch at once. I'm just going to add them individually. And that's one thing with like mountains like this is like, you know, you expect to have, most of the time, you expect to have rocks and things like that kind of all around. Now, one thing I'll say is where I grew up in New Mexico, the mountains just kind of start. There's not a lot of like foothills under the mountains, you know, like you'd expect. And so it's pretty different. Let's make one of them kind of big, just like a sudden big one. Like right there. Yeah, I don't like how parallel it is with those others, so we're just going to move it down here. Here we go. I'm going to save again. So, yeah, so it's just this little world we got going. And right now I've got enough to start an adventure. I haven't filled my whole continent yet, but I sure am on my way. And the more you do, the more interesting it becomes. And is this beautiful? No, I'm not going for art at this point. I'm going for a functional map that I can throw together and use. And you may say, hey, why not just use more like the other options where you can make it look more like a parchment map. And that's totally something that you can do, and that might be more conducive for something like this. But I wanted to use the new system or the new features that they've added in this fantasy battle map. But yeah, that's kind of the idea, the concept behind it. I'm really happy with the way the continent looks. I don't love all of this, but you know, I got started. I'm doing something. I could do an adventure right now based on my ideas for this. I could literally start a game tomorrow based on the ideas I have from just looking at this little section of this map. And that's the point of all this, right? So anyway, that's fun. I hope you get to play D&D soon, and I hope I do too. Thanks for watching. Bye.